So good morning, this is Barb from Inspire Me 360, and I wanted to talk a little bit about mental health in terms of keeping that equilibrium of your thoughts, what you're digesting from social media, from the media, and how to integrate all of the information essentially that is really given to us, or rather kind of the bombardment of information that is present in the human experience, at this time. So again, I've done a lot of analysis on this because, growing up in a time before cell phones and before the internet, it was, our access to information came primarily by the way of storytelling and books and, so literature, sitting down and reading and analyzing, but we really couldn't process the information at the rapid rate that we do, right now in the 21st century. And how does that actually affect our mental health and, the synthesis of what we are acclimating into our daily mental diet? One thing I really want, those that are listening to consider is how we learn. Obviously, I'm the founder and owner of several colleges, so curriculum, learning styles, how to deliver information is, of paramount importance in terms of, what we create within our learning systems. Now, what's very interesting about the dynamic way of the information really reaching our neural networks and how we synthesize everything with the modern day is that we're not just getting words, we're getting pictures and sound frequencies and, of course, dialogue, the written word. So the way that a lot of these multimedia informational teaching platforms, and to be quite honest, everything is a teaching platform. Anything that you are digesting in terms of things that are coming into your brain is a mechanism of learning. So you have to be really cognizant of how it's going to be affecting your projection, the way you frame the world, how your brain is actually computing the world at large. And why is this so important? Well, because that's how, again, how we see the world, how we perceive the world really filters through with how we treat others, our actions, the whole delineation of our beingness, okay? So why this can be a little bit scary, okay, is if you are constantly looking at images of bodies or over hypersexualized images, or, if that's really the focus, almost like a little hamster wheel. If your brain keeps spinning over these same learning mechanisms, right? Because again, if you're sitting there on a screen scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, whether it is, online shopping, if you're continually looking at imagery, really hyper fixated into a certain form, or, specifically, in social media, it's bodies. People just keep looking at certain types of, depiction of maybe beauty, or that expression of that external beauty. It can be captivating, you're scrolling, you're seeing all these images, but it also can be extremely detrimental in terms of the breadth and the diversity of one's mind, because it kind of gets you into that single track kind of patterned thinking. And it's a form of brainwashing, to be honest, because the brain is just acclimating to sort of have almost an addiction to seeing this type of imagery. And it, of course, if the brain is really hyper focused on certain imagery, it's going to shrink in other areas. It's not going to focus on those other areas where it needs to be fed, because again, the brain has multiple different regions and they all have to be excited and utilized to have this sort of full scope of beingness, understanding, and existing in the world. Again, how does this affect us as a society? And when we look at our parenting styles, when we look at how it's affecting our children, how it's affecting our own mental health. Again, when we are detaching ourselves so much so from the natural world, where we're not getting out into nature, we're not actually feeling the natural world and seeing its beauty. I mean, so often I'll go to a park and, you know, or go for a walk with somebody, and they're like legitimately just like looking at their device or scrolling, or, you know, I'll see these individuals and they're walking their dog and they're like on their phone. I mean, the level of addiction to these devices is just, I mean, to me, it's mind-blowing, because there's so much beauty in the world around us, but because of the way that the information is so calculatingly delivered on a device, it's like it sucks our consciousness into a virtual reality that is not, it's non-real, it doesn't exist. Okay, so, you know, it can trap our emotions, it can trap our attention, most certainly. But you have to remember, even the connectedness or the connection that people I think misinterpret with online relationships, again, it's not really visceral. I mean, you can have an amazing dialogue with somebody on a chat or via a device. I mean, you can even create this persona that is not you. You can live a double life. I mean, this is the seduction of these platforms, is you can be anyone you want to be. Now, is that wrong to be something that you are not and play a role and dive into some sort of a fantasy land with, you know, chatting with somebody online? It's not that it's wrong. It's just, the bottom's gonna fall out at some point, because it is not what you actually are. And the beauty with authentic, real, three-dimensional experiences, friendships, relationships, you know, that are non-device based, is that you actually get a full look at what you're dealing with. You actually, in the third dimension, in a body form, you get to see if that person's tidy, are they respectful, how do they operate, what is their energy like, you know, what is their actually, like, how are they actually showing up? You know, they're not a filtered image. They can't hide behind a screen and then have like a totally disastrous existence, or, you know, be using drugs, or any of the multitude of things that people nowadays hide behind, because they have this veil of a computer or a device. And again, like, anybody can Snapchat or Instagram or create this life based on a quick little feed of something that's not actually theirs. You know, they can create a very luxurious looking existence. And I'm not saying that a luxurious existence dictates happiness. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that luxury, symmetry, cleanliness, organization, infrastructure, all of these things that I've had to utilize to build my companies, it takes time, it takes diligence. It's not something that when you live in this type of a way, it is a lot of work to create that beautiful environment, okay? So again, this is a bit of a complicated segment. What I'm really trying to say is that it's not about it's not about a wrongness in being inauthentic. I think because when we emulate a lifestyle, or when we emulate a way of showing up in the world that is very presentable, it's still a good pulling. It's still a desire to go towards and move towards a lifestyle that is very, you know, the unfoldment of it is very beautiful. But what we have to be careful of with that, with that concept, is that we don't get into the pretending or the like I always call it like champagne taste on a beer budget. Like if you haven't really earned the right to exist in that way, you're inauthentic. And what I mean by earn the right is that to have things, to have a lifestyle, it takes a lot of diligence and hard work. And anytime I have experienced individuals that have not worked hard for the place they are sitting, they're very entitled and they are not often kind about the way that they interact with the world, because they don't understand how hard you have to work to be able to afford a lifestyle or to afford infrastructure within your life that creates this kind of blissful environment. If something's just given to you, it has no value, you waste it easily, and you are oftentimes demanding because, again, you didn't build it. You were not the catalyst for its existence. So again, that oftentimes when I've met individuals again that come, have kind of just come from money and it's been given to them, like the children of wealthy individuals, they can be, or I have found them often to be very entitled, very rude to people that are beneath them, because they don't understand how hard you have to work to get where you're going. Now, how am I going to cycle this back into the whole discussion about mental health and our devices and what we're appearing with online? So again, there's this massive push online for everybody to appear like they have this lifestyle. It's super glamorous, very it's that smoke and mirrors, okay? Because what I've come to notice about it is that a lot of these individuals that really radiate this glamorous, ultra fab lifestyle, first of all, a lot of it they're not paying for themselves. So they may be doing things like OnlyFans, they may be having people pay for them. It's a way of disrespecting their own aura. So they're not actually authentically working hard for it. They're taking something that somebody else has done some hard work for, but in and of the exchange, the two individuals that are exchanging resources are doing it on a very unvirtuous exchange. It's a man that's very empty that thinks he can quickly buy a quick fix or love or some sort of an exciting whatever it is, escapade. And it's a woman not wanting to work very hard, being in their lazy energy and essentially taking a free ride in exchange for the value of their body and their beauty, or whatever that is, their company. This is, again, a very distorted, unvirtuous way of, I guess, existing in this sort of lifestyle. Like, there's so much of this lifestyle stuff online now, and it does create a distortion in our consciousness, because we equate a lifestyle with joy or peace or happiness. And it's my experience that the pride in the hard work, the learning in the hard work and the diligence and everything you have to do to create things, that is what really creates mental stability and mental wellness. It's not about shouting from the rooftops, I have a fabulous, luxurious lifestyle. It's about, setting up your home so that you can create better systems and you can live in a way that is systematic, is peaceful, is grounding. And of course, you're going to implement beauty into your surroundings, because again, you want to see the out manifestation of a beautiful existence. But when you've actually purchased each and every one of those things, they mean something to you. When you look at them and it's your hard work that built them, then again, there is an energy about that self-doership that is very powerful in terms of our mental health. How can representing something that you haven't achieved or something that you are not online affect your mental health? Well, first of all, you have to be honest with yourself. You only ever have to reconcile who and what you are at the end of the day with your own consciousness. And you know what you are not, and you know where you are not, and you have to deal with that. So you can't run away from yourself. So you can have, a million different fake profiles or, ways that you are representing yourself that are not authentic to where you are. All day long, you're going to feel empty because intrinsically, you know from the core of your being that is not you. Whether we circle this back to dating sites, to online platforms where people are always trying to put their best foot forward, trying to play again a role they would like to be or they'd like to pretend to be, but again, it's not authentic. And if we're showing up in a certain way, so man or woman, but let's go a little bit to the female side of things, or the female polarity. I see so many young women doing this and really getting into this trap. And I'm not saying that I have not myself fell into this from time to time, but I'm just too busy to even care, to be honest. So I'm lucky in the sense that I'm so busy with tasks all day long. Thank God. I love to read, I love to be outside, I love to do whatever, that being online is not something that has ever really become an addiction to me, because I just physically don't have time to do it. So I utilize it for what it's good for its teaching, for a little bit of posting and connecting, but then I'm very much off of it immediately, okay? So when we are posting photos to try to get likes, to try to get followers, to care how many people are liking and following, this is like the ego on steroids. Social media has given us a window into our egoic mind in a way that can really pull us into this very low vibration, okay? Because it's an incessant battle that the ego continually plays with us that needs constant recognition. Okay, I'm gonna post, okay, people are gonna like it. I'm gonna post, people are gonna like it. And I need to make it more beautiful because I'm looking at other people's profiles and they're extremely beautiful and I have to keep up. So I'm gonna get abs and I'm gonna adjust the way I look and I'm gonna make this bigger and the waist smaller and the butt bigger. And then, you know what, oh my God, maybe I should get some plastic surgery, because I wanna look like that. When I go out, I have to be that. So why don't I put fish hooks in my face and pull it this way and burn it that way and all these, I'm in the beauty industry, so I see this stuff and I'm like, what the fuck is this? It's fine, even to the point that some of it, we teach it, but it doesn't mean that just because it exists, that it's the right way to do things. It's that quicksand, if you are just so focused and the only way you define yourself is with these benchmarks of your online presence, how you look, how many people like the way you look, what an empty continual hamster wheel. Who cares? I remember growing up with my grandparents. All of my grandparents have passed away on both sides now. The most lovely people in my entire life, just complete sources of wisdom in all ways. But we'd play cards, we'd bake pies, we'd make cookies, we'd go for walks, we'd go cross country skiing. There was things we were doing. We weren't worried about those things. And my grandparents did not care how wrinkly their skin was. It was not even a factor into their consciousness. They just didn't care. And they were happy, and they were in love. They were madly in love.